I'm pleased to be joined at this time by Coach Greg Proffitt, the athletic director, head football coach in Wellington, Texas. Coach, how's it going in Texas this morning?
It's going. I think we're the same as everybody else around the country, just hoping for ending to this as soon as we possibly can. But other
Yeah,
than that, homeschool with kids, I guess, is as good as it can be.
homeschool with kids is a challenge. I'm doing that myself, and I got a little one. Not a grandchild. I'm probably grandpa age, but I got a little one, and the 2-year-old, almost 3, and she's about to drive me crazy. I love her. It's been a real blessing to see these kids a lot, but it's time for these daycares and schools to kick back up with some of them. These
I
people don't
hear you.
get paid enough. That's all I'm telling you.
I
These
hear
daycare
you.
people,
I think some of the parents might get a taste of what we deal with as
yeah.
educators.
Absolutely, Coach. Hey, well, we're going to talk a little bit about building the athletic department today, and tell everybody that doesn't know you, is not familiar with you, maybe a little bit about your background, how you got to where you are today.
Well, I grew up in Goldthwaite, Texas, and Goldthwaite was a very successful football program in the state of Texas, Class 2A. My dad was the athletic director and head football coach in Goldthwaite for 34 years, and that was the only place he ever coached, which is in this day and age is pretty remarkable in itself. Um, he was a part of winning 4 state championships and playing in 6. I got the opportunity to, grow up, probably blessed to be around an athletic program like the one I was around. You sit back and when you're a coach's kid, that's all you know. And so that's the path and route that I chose because really I didn't know how to do anything else. Let's be honest. And my mom was the PE teacher at the elementary for all those years. So that's the family I grew up in, and so brothers and sisters and coaches' kids, and that's I just wanted to be a part of the athletic program, in whatever form or fashion that might be. And I actually started off coaching in a small 2A at that time 2A now 3A in Texas school outside of San Angelo called Wall, and actually one of my dad's assistants was the one that hired me. So we loved it there, and actually one of my dad's basically his offensive coordinator and head track coach became the high school principal back in Goldthwaite, and I ended up back in Goldthwaite working and teaching under my dad because it's one of those deals that was kind of a dream of mine to work with my dad. And so I guess got to do that for, I guess it was, I think 8 years before my dad retired. Got to win a state championship together in football. Got to have my dad, my kind of my mentor, my hero, and work under him, and of course grandpa as well, with my 2 kids. And so my wife and family and I decided it was time. God placed us somewhere else, and we ended up in Wellington, Texas, and this is our first year, and it's been a great fit for my family and I. And it's one of those deals that it's hard to explain how we ended up here. I didn't really know where Wellington was even on the map if you would have showed me at that time, but God said, this is where you're going, so this is where we're at. And I guess that's kind of me in a nutshell really quickly.
Yeah, that's great, Coach. Family business, and it sounded like you must have had a lot of success. So, looking forward to what you got to say here. Um, what I did was I took some. I actually recently, quote unquote, retired from coaching and moved up at the central office and doing that stuff. And to stay involved, I kind of taken some of these key concepts and studied what the successful programs do across the country. And when it comes to this particular subject with athletic departments, we found that there's really these 4 kind of core values that they all had in some capacity. There was continuity in the coaching, meaning that for the most part they were bringing folks back every year. There's obviously sometimes exceptions for that, but the places that constantly change coaches, I'm talking about head or assistant coaches, struggled to maintain a great athletic department. Work with levels above and below. So if you're a middle school, you would work with the elementary teams or with the high school team. If you're a high school like we were, you're going to work with your middle schools. You're going to work with colleges. If you're not good at both of those, you kind of struggle as an athletic department. The best athletic departments promote their programs, and the best athletic departments are great communicators, with either with each other with parents, with students, whatever. So I'd like you to take a minute and kind of tell us what you guys have done and kind of what you're planning on doing at Wellington with these four things. So what's something you've seen as a way to keep continuity in your coaching staffs?
Well, I'll start with that continuity in coaching, and there's a lot to that. And a lot of it has to do with hiring good people. And I like the old phrase that you basically become who you are around. And for coaches and staff, you're around the kids and you're on the coaching staff. And um, is that a good thing or bad thing? I think it's a great thing if you hire great people. And so I don't really care about the X's and O's. Really, are you going to take care of kids? Are you going to do the right things when you're faced with those moral, ethical decisions? And to me, those, when you hire those kind of people, that kind of, you fix that continuity in coaching, because they want to be there. They want to be good people. They're loyal. They're going to do what you ask them to do. And then on the other side of that is, I feel as an athletic director, if you're doing your job and you're helping grow coaches or helping them make them better, then sometimes you're going to lose coaches, and that's the nature of the game. And um, I hope that I help promote those coaches from within to head coaching opportunities if they, in our program or in other programs. And I always tell my guys, I'll be the first to, you put my name on the top of your resume. If you want to go do that, then I'm your biggest fan, and I want that for you if that's something that you think that you're ready for. And so, I think with the continuity and coach and all that kind of goes together and getting together to get that done. And then as far as the second one, working with levels above and below, I'm a big believer in, you're not a junior high coach, you're not a high school coach, you're going to coach it all. And I know that doesn't fit for all programs because we're a smaller school. We're under 150 high school enrollment. So just in the athletic program, boys and girls on the average is probably 20 a class maybe. And so we do have a high school athletic period and a junior athletic period, but all the high school coaches are in the junior high athletic period, and all the junior high coaches in the high school athletic period, because we're going to do it together. Because the future of our program, I know we're kind of talking more specifically football here, but I don't really care what sport it is. The future of your sport and the future of your success starts in the 7th grade with your junior high kids. So I want our guys coaching our 7th graders just like they do our senior, our senior kids. So we're coaching that 7th grade quarterback the same way we're coaching our high school varsity quarterback. And so on our junior high is just important as our high school, that, that builds success program wide, and we're all on the same page and we're all going the same direction. And, specifically scheme wise, we're going to run the same offense in 7th, 8th, JV and varsity that we're going to run on Friday night. And then same thing on defense. We're going to run the same defenses that we run with our varsity as with our junior highs. And I think that's very important. Um, and it's that way across the board in all of our athletic programs. You can talk about boys and girls basketball as well. It's no different. And the next one, the promoting programs. I think you promote your program when you do things right and you make kids want to be a part of it. And obviously, success has a lot to do with that. If you don't have a successful program, you have a harder time getting kids out. And we'll talk about promoting programs within your school and trying to get more kids out, and giving them opportunity and wanting your program. And then, as far as promoting your program community wide, we certainly do that. I encourage coaches to make shirts with, like Wellington Skyrocket football. I know you can just do a Wellington general shirt, but sometimes you want to promote your football program, your basketball program. Heck, even we got a Wellington Skyrocket golf hat. We have about 6 boys that play golf and 4 girls, but hey, make your Wellington Skyrocket golf hat, because we want to promote our golf team and we're proud of what they do. And then the last thing is great communication. And that's one thing I tell our coaches up front. Man, I try to be a good communicator. Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I feel like I do a decent job. But, I always tell our coaches, hey, if I'm not, you'd let me know. My wife would probably tell you I'm not a very good communicator, but, uh, hopefully, that's one of those things better. And for me, it's probably being a better communicator, because during the school day, I don't see all of our coaches. And so, we usually start the morning with either a lift or a junior high practice. And so, we're busy doing stuff then, and then you don't see them again until your after school practice because they're teaching. And so trying to communicate with what we want done, practice wise during the day, or if we had any issues of any kind, which, knock on wood, we really haven't had very many of those, but, and then at the same time, communication with, your team, and parents, and there are apps that make that easier.
Mhm.
We use Google Classroom right now with our homeschool stuff through the Corona, and that's a really pretty good tool for us right now. And we send them individual workout every single day through Google Classroom, and try to encourage those guys to get that done. And we also kind of have accountability partners for those guys right now, trying to hold them each other, make them communicate with each other. And so, again, I think you do have some great core values on what it takes to become a great athletic department. But even in that, those are core values that make any specific department
Absolutely. Yeah.
successful. You got to
Be
have
true
those
for any
things.
organization, and there's exceptions to all those rules in terms of, especially in the continuity part, because I think continuity really means, it's a positive if if they leave, they left in a positive way. Let's put it that way. That would
I
fall into
agree.
the
Yeah.
continuity. If people are going to come and go from the athletic department, but in my experience, I was the athletic director and I was the district athletic director, over the whole district's athletics. And in both cases, I'm not much talking about football, to be honest, or maybe even not basketball or baseball. But when you get into the other sports, it's very likely a lot of times you're hiring people that you're hiring somebody that maybe you only had a few options, or maybe you basically had to talk them into doing it, or whatever it is. But if you can get them to keep doing it, they will get better. So their third, fourth, fifth, sixth year coaching the golf team, they'll be way better. So if you can just keep them doing it, and then as far as assistants going on to other places, then that's great. I mean, obviously that's a positive. That means you're doing a good job. So I consider that, even though they're leaving, I would consider that part of continuity. That people are leaving you to get promoted. They're not leaving you because they don't want to coach at all, or because they just don't like it, or whatever that is. Um, and you hit the nail on the head with the rest of that stuff. You got to promote your team. You got to If you think you don't have to tell people the good things you're doing, you're crazy. It's 2020. You're gonna have to tell people that we did this, we did this. We used to make up awards: the multi-sport athlete of the month, the off-season athlete of the month. We made up stuff like that, which were big hits. What did it hurt? What did it cost us to put on Twitter that they were the whatever? And then you got to be able to communicate. Now, the communications probably honestly go in reverse order. And the communication is probably the most important one, in terms of communication between parent and coach, communication between players and coach, but really communication between each other too, between volleyball and football and basketball and wrestling and some of the sports that are around the same time frame. So if those were the four values, we kind of said, okay, these traits fit in all. When we studied winning teams, winning programs, really good athletic departments, people who were good at almost every sport, they had a lot of these. I'm not going to say all of them had every one, but you're probably looking at four or more of these traits in every quality athletic department. The winning culture probably had to been in all of them. There was an expectation to win, to succeed, whatever. Um, there was a strong budget financial plan, and strong is relative because depending on your school size, or
Right.
what the expectation is, but they were able to maximize what they could do budget and fundraising wise. In some cases that'd be small, and in some cases big. They had some version of a player recognition system. They handled parent issues consistently. They had strong community support, and they were able to hire people. So tell us a little bit about which of those traits you probably valued the most, which ones you feel like y'all needed to work on, but also what are some ways you kind of can develop these traits in an athletic department?
Well, if I was going to rank those, of course, I still think great hiring is the top, just because of, like I said earlier, you want to surround yourself with great people. And, I think that's one of the hardest things to do as an athletic director because, let's be real, I tell people when we interview, like, hey, we have X amount of time basically to make a decision for our athletic department that's either going to affect us positively or negatively, and it could affect us for the next 15 years. It could affect us for the next year. Like I don't know any of those things, but like basically, you have an hour to sell yourself to me.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't know them, obviously, but a lot of times you know the people, and you can call and find out, and you're going to do those reference checks. But still, that makes it very difficult, and I think that's probably the hardest part of our profession, and especially, um, you know, trying to find guys that you think, or ladies, that fit your athletic program and are a good fit for your kids. And so, again, we'll go with the hiring on that one. And then I'm going to jump to the top to the winning culture. I'm a huge believer in that culture piece and making your school a better place. Because Friday night football in Texas is a huge deal. And so if your football program is having huge success, your program basically transfers over into the school, and your school, is positive. Things are rocking and rolling, and the school functions at a really, really high rate. And on top of that, for us, our girls cross country team is really good. And so that's our tradition as well. And so, to me, that winning culture is about having individual program traditions. And so, like, and maybe we do some, and we probably do. Our kids are probably spoiled by the success that they've seen growing up, but it's also something to preach of, the protect the tradition and keep that culture strong. And are there unrealistic things you should win, and how many rounds our girls basketball team should go? Absolutely. But again, I think that's a good thing sometimes for our kids to realize the expectations that they have because of the tradition in the past and the culture that is around, that's year in, year out, is strong, and we're Wellington, and this is what we expect. And so I really think that culture of success and tradition transfers over into our academics and anything else we do. Even our band is huge too here as well. And so to me, that is that winning culture, not just in our athletic program, but in our school. Um, that strong community support, I guess, probably be the next little bullet piece I'd hit. Um, you know, it, I've never been anywhere, I don't guess I've coached, where you didn't have strong community support. And so, for me to say that's not important, I wouldn't know what it would be like if you didn't have that piece. And so,
Then you would know how important it was.
it's exactly right. It's exactly right. But I know this: if you don't think that 15 to 18-year-old boys, girls, young men, young women don't look in those stands to see how many people are there in a game, you're crazy.
Hmm.
They know who's there and they know who's watching,
Yep.
and that's during the participation part. But when your businesses down and on Main Street have their Wellington Skyrocket flags flying on game day, or they have their businesses painted up, or they show up at the pep rally, or they show up at a send off, or on social media they're all retweeting the game, or sharing on Facebook that, hey, the varsity boys have a playoff game by district, whatever, or varsity second round playoff game, show up, we're wearing red tonight, red out or white out. That shows you a strong community support, and the community is going to be there for you, and there for the kids.
Right.
And so I know I kind of tied that community support with the social media part. Um, but this day and age, um, I'm not putting down newspapers because that's not fair. That's what I grew up reading, the newspapers. Well, let's be honest. I looked at the pictures in the newspapers and probably more than I read it. But social media, that's the new newspapers. Everybody of kid you. I don't really, we don't have specific team sports pages. We have a Wellington High School and a Wellington Junior High, and every sport that we play, we put those results down. We brag on kids through that. You know, the community sees it, the parent sees it. And I think those are important tools of our athletic department. And, you know, obviously our kids know that that happens. And of course they're going to retweet and share and all that good stuff because they know how to use social media obviously better than I do. There's a bell for what would have been school. And so I think those are no important, and not to say I didn't really say anything about the strong budget and finance plans because, you know, our budget pretty much remains constant year to year. Now, sometimes it may increase or decrease depending on certain needs. I'm not a big fundraiser guy because we live in a small town, rural community in Texas where it's farmers and ranchers. And so, you know, those people get hit up year round about that. And so we do what we do fundraiser cards in the beginning of football season, and that is literally about the only fundraiser we do, and it's kind of for all sports programs. But as far as you know, yes, you have to have a budget in order to be successful, but you know, ours pretty much stays constant year in and year out. And then the parent issues, yes, you have to be able to handle those. And I always tell our coaches, hey, if you have issues with a parent, you need to let me know, and like I'll handle it first. I have no problem with that. Or if you want to meet with that parent, I got your back 100%. And I always tell them that I have your back 100% of the time, unless you do something where I can't defend you. And so, you know, that's kind of the case with those handling the parent issues, and
Yep.
kind of goes along with the great hiring part. You know, you try to hire great people that can handle those things, and you don't really have a whole lot of issues. Um, but I guess the biggest issues is never talk to a parent after a contest. Like, you tell them as mad as they want. It doesn't matter. I'm not speaking to you today. You can come in the office tomorrow and we can discuss it all. And so that gives both sides, you know, a chance to, you know, 24-hour rule, I guess, if you want to say, calm down, cool down a little bit before you discuss any of those kind of issues. And again, you know, I hope you never have those, but that's always going to happen at least once or twice a year at least. And it depends on what sport it is and what program it is, and really on how those are handled. Because, you know, like football, that's one game a week. Basketball, baseball, those are different. That's twice a week. So you have a chance for more conflicts on those. But anyway, like I said earlier, great hiring and winning culture, to me, the top two of this list for me personally.
Yeah, I think hiring, you know, there's no doubt that hiring the right people fix a lot of that other stuff. You know, but you know, you can get fooled on that, but there's also some things like you said you can really do well when you hire. Take your time, really try to do your homework on the references, things like that, and try to get it right, because getting it right in that hire is going to fix all that other stuff. So that's so true, Coach. Good point on that. Um, what did you think was the most important component of building an athlete department? I guess you kind of already hit on that, great hiring, I guess. But is there anything else that I didn't list that you think is really important in building the athlete department?
Well, when you're talking about building the athletic department, to me, and I know this kind of goes back to the coaching spring, because spring's crazy. Like, we'll have track and baseball and golf and tennis and UIL for us, academic UIL. We have FFA contests, ag contests. We have band contests. We have one act play contests. So those are all going on in the spring, and sharing kids and juggling. And I tell them we got to work together, you know,
There's that bell.
communicate with each other on that, communicate with me, communicate with our coaches. Hey, you be selfish. Like, I know, like, we got to work together, but if I'm the track coach, I think track's more important than anything else. If I'm the baseball coach, I think baseball is more important than anything else.
Absolutely.
If I'm the golf coach, I think golf is more important than anything else. So it's okay to be selfish, and it's okay to say, well, I'm not getting my kids because you care about your program and your success of your program. Where we have an issue is if you're not worried about that. And so, you know, again, talking about building the total athletic program, I want every coach to be selfish for their program because they think their program is more important than everybody else's. And to me, when you do that, good things are going to happen because everybody cares about their program and cares about their kids, and getting their kid working their kids, I guess, is the best way to say that. And then again, I think strength and conditioning is huge. Um, I'm not one of those football coaches that we're going to lift this way during football season, but during basketball season we're going to lift more, and then during the spring, I don't do that. We're going to lift in the morning year round, and I don't care if it's a football playoff game, we're going to lift those 2 days. I don't care if it's a basketball playoff game, we're going to lift those 2 days. I don't care if it's a baseball playoff game, we're going to lift those 2 days. Now, we may move those days around, but every kid in our athletic program is getting the same core lift year round. And so there is no, well, the football team lifted these, and then basketball, no, that's not, there's no leg to stand on that because our kids know the expectation. They know that we're going to lift year round. They know that we as coaches know how important that is for them to be, stronger from the sport you play. You want to look at Tiger Woods and the new guys coming up in golf. Those guys are jacked, and so golfers lift too. And so I think the strength and conditioning piece is a big piece of our athletic program, and everybody being on the same page and really doing the same lift for the most part.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Trying to look at your list here again. If you have
What
any questions on any of that, go ahead.
Well, I think a good question that usually comes off of this, some of the stuff you'll hear you've already answered, but what are the traits you would look for when you were hiring a coach, a head coach, really of any across the sports? What's the common traits that you kind of say, well, if we can get somebody that's this or this or this, then that's what we want?
Um, I'm gonna say loyalty, and that's hard to judge. You got to do your homework on your references. If it's somebody you know, whether you don't know, I'm gonna say loyalty, because in the grand scheme of things in the coaching world, all you got is each other. Honestly, you do have your outside friends, group of friends here and there, but a lot of times when it's all said and done and things get rough, you got to lean on each other as coaches. So to me, you got to be loyal to each other, and think that inevitably some point in time, some programs going to be down while the others are up, and you don't place the blame on the coach or the. I mean, you got to hold each other up, and that loyalty piece to me is very important down because our basketball team didn't have a good year. That's not going to happen. Uh, we're going to do what we can to get better, and football wise, if we didn't have a good year, hey, I hold myself accountable just as much as anybody else, and we're going to do what we can to get better. And we're going to sit down and discuss and figure things out. And so to me, that loyalty piece is the biggest piece, I think, probably for any of it. I think X's and O's, everybody's going to learn and wanting to get better for the most part. But to me, the desire to keep on learning, it sounds kind of funny, but being a lifelong learner, just because we've always done it this way doesn't mean that's the way we have to continue to do it. If there's something out there that we see that we like, that we feel be a good fit for our kids, hey, let's go attack it. Let's go learn it. I know we've been running this defense since they parted the Red Seas, but hey, if we feel like we need to do something different, let's do it. And so, I guess loyalty and wanting to learn and get better every single year, probably the two biggest, I'd say most important.
Yeah, great. Yeah, great answer, Coach. What tell us about something that maybe you made a mistake at along the way that you wish you'd handled differently? Because I'm always curious to hear, from people's. I love hearing about people's success, but I kind of learn a lot from my own and other people's failures too.
Well, of course, to me, every decision you make at night, I can always say, and I discuss at home with my wife sometimes, is like, when your head hits the pillow at night, if you can hit that pillow and go to sleep and feel good about any decisions that you made the right decision. Sometimes you toss and turn, and maybe that wasn't the right decision. But at the end of the day, I mean, that's your job, and that's the decision you're gonna make. Uh, I'm going to say that I couldn't tell if it was a mistake or not, but without getting into great detail, I suspended a kid for a football playoff game that happened to be our quarterback for a game. Um, obviously, we didn't have a lot of depth because we didn't have a lot of kids. The right decision or not, it was probably one of the harder decisions I had to make. And I know that's really, at that point in time, I'm the athletic director and head football coach at the same time. It was one I tossed and turned with. I even contacted other athletic directors and football coaches, including my dad, to ask some questions to try to just help me make the right decision. And that thing's tough, especially when we're talking about playoff wins and losses. But I did what I thought I had to do. I even spoke with our team captains about it, that kind of stuff. And so, though I wish it was handled differently, yeah, maybe sometimes. But it's hard to know. To me, it's hard to know. Now, there's certain times when you make a call. Like for us this year, we played a road basketball game on a Tuesday. It was starting to snow, and team we're playing said, "Oh, it's not snowing bad here yet." And then we get on the road and it's snowing like crazy, and the roads are covered in snow. That was a decision that if we had to do over again, I'd do differently. There's no reason to put people's life at stake to go make that decision to go play a dang basketball game that we can make up. But at the time, we didn't really know that it was going to be as bad as it was, and our kids were already there on buses, so that's one of those. We'll just get there and then all stick together coming back. It all worked out. It all worked out fine, but that's one of those ones. Like
Right.
as an athletic director, that's one of those tough decisions. But to me,
What
you live and you learn, and you learn from those mistakes, and you try to get better every time you make one.
Absolutely, coach. What what advice would you have for somebody that aspires to be an athletic director? Maybe they're not now, that they're wishing they would be. What is something they could be doing now to prepare them if that day comes?
To me, you put yourself in that athletic director's shoes on any decisions that are made or anything, even if it involves your program. If you're the girls' basketball coach and you have this question or this issue, if you're the athletic director, how would you handle that? You put yourself in those decisions and try to remove it from the equation that you are the girls' basketball coach, all these other programs. Because to me, the most important, if I'm giving advice to somebody that wants to be an athletic director, is you got to treat every sport fairly and consistently. And you don't give this, you're not showing favoritism towards this one sport, especially like myself as a football coach. I don't think that I show any more love to the football program than I show to the boys basketball team or the girls basketball team or the girls cross country team or any of our sports. Because I think I love on our kids equally. And I'm going to show up to everything that they do because I have a son and I have a daughter, and I think that it's equal importance. I want my daughter to be successful in the girls' athletic program. I want my son to be successful. Being fair on any decisions that are made and supporting every sport that we play. Whether you played the sport or not when you're growing up, whether you like the sport or not, doesn't matter. Go support it because you want your kids to be the best they can be. And like I tell our kids all the time, I enjoy watching our kids compete because as a coach, that's what I do. This job is to help you through tough times, to help you get better, to help you do things that you didn't think you could do, to help our team do things we didn't think we could do. And so at the end of the day, it's all about watching our kids compete. And that's why I love my job as athletic director, because I get to watch every kid compete in our entire athletic program, male and female. And of course, watch our coaches go coach their tails off when it's game day or practice, because our coaches coach just as hard in practice as they do in the games.
Yeah, absolutely, coach. Well, that's some good stuff. I appreciate you and appreciate you taking time. I know it's a crazy time for everybody, so I appreciate you taking some time to talk to me a little bit and help people out. If we can ever help you in any way, please let me know.
Yeah, same here. And I didn't do the whole sheet thing with my name and information on it. I know you
Yeah,
have it.
tell anybody that's listening if they did have a question where they could contact you.
Yeah, my Twitter is at LC and then Proffitt, Proffitt. And I know you reached out to me on Twitter, so you have that as well.
Yeah.
And then my email at any time is my name with a dot between it, Greg.Proffitt, and it's at wellisd.net. And so I think I'm like a guru at being an athlete? Absolutely not. But I want to get better every single year, and I want to be fair to kids and coaches, and that's why I do this profession. And I just like you, I want to grow and get better. And so if something I say to help anybody, awesome. And if nobody listens, that's okay. At least I got to go talk some sports with you this morning and be an athletic director. I'm good with it.
We'll get somebody to listen, Coach. I appreciate you. Like I said, appreciate all you do, and good luck to you in the future. And maybe we get you on some other time about something else.
Hey, sounds good. Anytime, I'm in. Appreciate it. Thanks for
Thanks,
what you do.
Coach. Thanks.